A man stands at the top of a hill. In front of him is a strange machine with huge wings made of wood and cloth. He takes a deep breath. That man lived over 500 years ago. He could not fly, but his ideas changed the world. Who was he? His name was Leonardo da Vinci, and his life was full of questions. It started on a spring day in 1452, in a small village in Italy called Vinci. A baby boy was born. His father was a rich notary, a man who wrote important official papers. His mother was a simple woman from the village. But there was a problem: his parents were not married. In those days, that brought big shame. So Leonardo's father took him to live with his own family. His mother did not come. Little Leonardo grew up without her. Because he was born outside marriage, the best schools were closed to him. Those schools taught Latin, mathematics, and religion. Leonardo never learned these things in a classroom. But Leonardo did not stop learning. He learned by watching. He sat by the river and watched the water move slowly over the stones. He lay on the grass and stared at birds turning in the blue sky. Why do birds not fall? How does the river find its path? Why does the sun make long shadows in the evening? His family did not always understand his constant questions. But Leonardo's eyes were always open, always hungry. He was different. His father noticed something else: Leonardo could draw beautifully. The boy drew animals, plants, the face of an old man he saw on the road. His lines were full of life. His father thought, "My son has a gift." So he made a decision. When Leonardo was about 14 years old, his father took him on a long trip to the shining city of Florence. In those days, Florence was full of artists, builders in stone, and big thinkers. They walked through busy streets and stopped in front of a workshop. The air inside smelled of oil paint, fine dust from cut stone, and hot metal. This workshop belonged to Andrea del Verrocchio, a famous artist and teacher. Leonardo became his student. In the workshop, Leonardo learned many things. He learned to mix bright colors, to cut stone, and to shape metal. He painted with care. But Leonardo's mind wanted everything. He did not only study art. He began to study the human body. At night, secretly, he went to a hospital and looked at dead bodies. People thought this was strange and dangerous, but Leonardo wanted to understand muscles, bones, and the heart. He made hundreds of drawings. He wrote notes in his notebooks, but he wrote them backwards, from right to left. Today we think he did this because he was left-handed and it was easier for him, and maybe he wanted to keep his ideas a little hidden. One day, Verrocchio was painting a large picture of the baptism of Jesus. He asked Leonardo to paint just one small angel in the corner. Leonardo took his brush and worked silently. When Verrocchio stepped back and looked at the angel, his mouth opened in shock. The angel seemed to breathe. Its face had a gentle light that the rest of the painting did not have. Some stories say that after that day, Verrocchio never painted again. He saw that his young student had already passed him completely. Imagine that moment, the teacher who realizes the student has become the master. But Leonardo's mind was already racing ahead. He started many paintings, but he left many of them unfinished. People began to whisper, "He never finishes anything." But Leonardo was not lazy. His brain just moved too fast. He would begin one idea, and a new, more exciting one would pull him away. Still, he soon took a new path. In his 30s, Leonardo moved to the city of Milan in northern Italy. He worked for the powerful Duke of Milan. The Duke wanted Leonardo to design weapons, strong buildings, and grand festivals. Leonardo did all that, but his heart was somewhere else. It was up in the sky, with the birds. Every free moment, Leonardo watched birds. He observed how they opened their wings to catch the wind. He watched them turn without falling. He filled his notebooks with drawings of wings, feathers, and bones. He wrote, "A bird is an instrument working according to mathematical law." Leonardo believed that if he could understand that law, he could build a machine to lift a man into the air. So he designed strange and wonderful flying machines. One machine looked like a wooden bird with huge wings that a man could move with his arms and legs. Another design looked like a giant screw on top, a machine that would spin and rise like a helicopter. He even drew a parachute shaped like a pyramid. Were any of these machines ever built and tested? We have no proof. But the ideas were hundreds of years ahead of their time. Why did he want to fly so much? Maybe it was the feeling of freedom. Maybe he just wanted to see the world as birds see it. While his mind danced among the clouds, Leonardo was also working on something earth-shaking. In Milan, he began a huge painting on a church wall. It showed the last meal that Jesus shared with his 12 disciples. We call it the Last Supper. For 3 years, Leonardo worked on this painting. He wanted to catch the exact second when Jesus says, "One of you will betray me." He painted the shock, the sadness, and the love in the disciples' faces. But Leonardo used a new painting technique, not the usual wet plaster method. Unfortunately, the painting began to break and fade soon after it was done. Over the centuries, it suffered damage. Yet, even today, The Last Supper remains one of the most powerful works of art in the world. Years later, Leonardo returned to Florence. He was now 51 years old. He was famous, but he was not rich. He started projects and walked away from them, so many payments never came. Then, a rich silk merchant came to him with a simple request. The merchant's name was Francesco del Giocondo. He asked Leonardo to paint a portrait of his wife, a quiet woman named Lisa Gerardini. Leonardo agreed. He began to paint a woman sitting calmly, her hands folded gently. Behind her, he painted a strange, dreamlike landscape. Mountains, a winding road, a bridge, they seemed to lead to nowhere and everywhere. But the real mystery was her face. She wore a small, soft smile. Not a full smile of happiness, not a sad face. It was something right in the middle. Is she happy? Is she hiding a secret? Nobody could tell. Nobody can tell even today. Leonardo worked on that painting for years, some say 4 years, some say more than 10. He carried it with him everywhere. He never gave the painting to Francesco. Maybe Leonardo felt it was never truly finished. Maybe he loved it too deeply. That painting became known as Mona Lisa, which means Lady Lisa. Today, it hangs in the Louvre Museum in Paris. Millions of people come each year just to stand in front of her and wonder about that smile. Imagine you are one of them, looking into her eyes and asking, "What are you thinking?" But time does not wait for dreamers. The world around Leonardo was full of wars and changes. He moved between cities, working for different rulers. He designed weapons, bridges, and maps. His body, however, was growing tired. In 1516, Leonardo was 64 years old. His right hand became paralyzed, he could not move it, he could not paint his dear paintings anymore. But his mind was still bright. The King of France, Francis I, admired Leonardo deeply. He invited him to come and live near the royal palace in a town called Amboise, by the gentle Loire River. The king gave Leonardo a comfortable house, money, and deep respect. Leonardo accepted. He took with him his most precious possession, thousands of pages of notebooks. Those pages were full of drawings, inventions, questions, and dreams. Leonardo spent his final years in peace. He walked in the gardens, talked with the king, and looked at his old paintings. including the Mona Lisa that still rested at his side. On the 2nd day of May in 1519, Leonardo died in his bed. He was 67 years old. Some stories tell that King Francis was right beside him, holding his hand. We do not know that for certain. But we do know that his journey ended gently. Leonardo da Vinci's life was not easy. He grew up without his mother. He was kept out of the best schools. Many people called him unreliable and strange. He left a long trail of unfinished work. But he never stopped watching the world with love. He never stopped asking why and how. He painted pictures that make us feel deep things. He designed machines that were built only hundreds of years after his death. He was an artist, a scientist, an inventor, and a dreamer all at once. How does this connect to your journey of learning English? Well, maybe you don't finish every lesson. Maybe your path feels different from other people's. Maybe you still ask many questions. That is not a weakness, it's a gift. Like Leonardo, keep your eyes open. Listen to the language like you would listen to the wind and the birds. Keep wondering. Every small step in learning is like one brushstroke of an angel. If you enjoyed this story, please give this video a like. It helps a lot. And subscribe to the Historyline English podcast so you never miss a new story. Now I have a question for you. If you could meet Leonardo da Vinci today, what is one question you would ask him? Write your answer in the comments. I am very curious to read what you think. Thank you so much for listening today. See you in the next story. Goodbye.